Hello, this is Miss Bitcoin and I'm with Peter Todd. How are you?
I'm all right.
What do you think the role in Bitcoin is today in the world?
I mean, it's a payment platform. Certainly in El Salvador, I mean, you still get some amounts. And I think here in Costa Rica, it's interesting how much Bitcoin payment activity is actually happening organically.
Are you affiliated with the CIA?
Of course I ask.
What advice will you give to Bitcoiners?
Stop fighting about bullshit so much. I mean, there's a whole side of Bitcoin right now that's, on this whole knots versus core nonsense. And it's just bizarre to see like people so spun up about things that are just absolute technical nonsense.
Is it hard to be a public Bitcoin figure, and do you believe you are on the right side of history?
When I got into Bitcoin development, I had a very important decision to make, which is would I do work under my real name or not? And I decided to do stuff under my real name.
Okay.
If you don't do work under your real name, how are you going to wind up in in-person conferences? I like being a public figure. Like I like being out and actually talking to people and so on. I mean, I think the celebrity side of it is total bullshit. All those people asking me for photos is really silly, but if you're not willing to be out in public and go on stage, you're just going to make a lot less impact in life. If your idea of impact in life is doing what I do, which is much more about convincing people than actually writing code.
What do you think are the most important changes that need to be made, and at what point does something close to ossification become critical, if ever?
If Bitcoin's consensus protocol didn't change at all, there are certain things in Bitcoin's consensus protocol that certainly have to change. Like if you fast forward, I don't know, I think it's 80 years now or 100 years, Bitcoin just comes to a halt because the time field in blocks overflows. But that isn't really like what we're talking about with classification. That's a very obvious problem, very obvious way to go fix it. You also get things like what's called the Great Consensus Cleanup, which is meant to go fix exploits in Bitcoin, which are unlikely to be exploited, but would be good to go fix. But then you get things like covenants, which could add a lot of new ways of using Bitcoin. Things like new types of Lightning-like protocols. But an interesting thing with Lightning is it's plausible, because the world just isn't that big, that essentially everyone in the world who would want to use Lightning could use it. Roughly speaking, there's like 5 billion people with smartphones on the planet. And currently we could open something like 1 billion Lightning channels per year. So depending on how you play with those numbers, maybe like 10% of the population with a smartphone actually wants to hold Bitcoin on chain, all by themselves, purely sovereign. Under that circumstance, yeah, probably Bitcoin will run just fine the way it is.
Well, thank you so much, Peter, and I'll see you in El Salvador.